Oh, every day was a good day. A typical day was a lot of freedom on a farm, and we always had chores to do. There were chickens to feed and lambs to take care of and eggs to collect. And I had a twin brother. I had an older sister and two older brothers, and life was good. We had a church and a little general store and a post office. That's all it was. It's just a nice little settlement of homes. It seems as though there was things enough to do, but the pace was slower. We had a chance to smell the flowers along the way. When you come to Portland, wow, you were coming that was big time stuff. When I was in high school, I was on the field hockey team, and that was a highlight of our school, was when we played Deering or Waynflete, and we came by bus, and we'd come down and we'd play the game, and then we'd have supper, and then go to a movie. I went into nursing school in Portland. That was a big jump. That was a big culture shock. Down at Maine General. That was 3 years, and good training. It was just something that comes natural to me, so it didn't feel like a challenge. To begin with, it was very overwhelming, all the studies, but what we were learning, we were putting to use on the floors. It was a kind of a do-it-learn-as-you-go thing. Things changed after the war. Everything went around kind of humdrum during the war, and we were short-handed. It was very challenging during the war because you not had to do your nursing duties, but you had to do your housekeeping duties as well. Hard to get people to come to work. People that would be like maids or aides could get more money working in the shipyard than they could in the hospital. So we had to wash our own floors sometimes. We not only had to do our nursing duties, but we had to do the housekeeping duties too, because we were short of help, we were short of doctors, we were short of nurses. And that was very challenging, to be so short-handed all the time. I worked in the accident ward. The accident ward was different. That's what it was an accident ward. We didn't have ambulances. We didn't have the things that they have today. We didn't do treatments until the wartime, like they do, like the emergency is today. The emergency room now is kind of a relief center for people to go in and get treatment. When I first started, it was just for emergencies, just for accidents, for trauma, and we were busy. And the people that brought them in were the policemen. It was archaic compared with today, because all they had was just a stretcher, and they'd bring them in. The thing that I learned very, very early in being in the accident ward is you were real nice to the policemen. I didn't ever have any problem with the policemen. I was always very kind to them, very polite to them, and they would help me. But the biggest accident that I had was when the airplane went into the Red Bank Village. That afternoon we had 35 people come in there, one right after the other, burned. And I think 16 or 17 of them they died right away. But the others we took care of and admitted, and we worked all night on them. And that was horrific. I don't know that they ever knew what happened. The boy was coming back to see his family. He had a wife and a young baby, and they were waiting at the airport for him, and something happened, and he just went into the trailer park out there at Red Bank. But there again, we didn't have a triage, system like they have today, and we didn't have backup, but people came back on duty, and they came from everywhere. All the doctors came in, and nurses came on, and people stayed over, and I was on duty that afternoon, and I went home at 4 o'clock in the morning. Had to be back on duty at 7. So it was a long day, and it was a traumatic thing, and that was the biggest, and I think it's probably one of the biggest disasters that's hit the city. I went to this wedding, and he was cute. He was from North Carolina. Sounded so much different from the Maine twang that we have here. Had these nice brown eyes. He was very pleasant. He was one of the ushers. So when I went up the steps, he ushered me in. And the first thing he said to me was, "Are you friend or foe?" And I said, "I'm a friend." He says, "Well, if you're a foe, I'd want you to put the guns over here." That amused me. I thought he was pretty clever. And he was quick-witted. There was a big dance at the Eastland Hotel. Because I was an instructor, I was a chaperone, but I couldn't be a chaperone without an escort. And I didn't have anybody, but I knew what his name was, and $25 was a lot of money then to pay to go to a dance that I didn't really want to go to, but I was forced to go to it, and forced to get me an escort. Well, hemmed and hawed and asked him about it, and he said, yeah, he'd come in, he'd take me. I had to buy myself a evening dress, so I hunted. In wartime, difficult to buy things. $27 I put out for an evening dress, but it was worth it. I thought I felt dressed up in it, and it was a green top with a white skirt. I felt elegant in it. Anyway, I went and had a good time, so that's how I met him. I always said when I was little that I wanted 2 boys and 2 girls, and my mother told me not to make any predictions because those were things over which I had no control. But I got 2 boys, and then I got 2 girls, and then I got a bonus. I had another boy. I got exactly what I wanted plus a bonus. I think I did very well. So I've got the best of both worlds because I grew up on the mountains, and now I think I'd be homesick for the smell of the ocean. There's something about there's the restlessness of the ocean. Oh, but if there's anything that makes me want to travel is to hear the whistle of a train. Oh, I love the whistle of a train. My grandchildren and my children are very good about sharing their travels and their experiences with me. So I've been to Australia, I've been to Oregon, I've been to Montana, I've been to California, I've been to all these places. Granddaughter married a fellow from Texas. I can sit home now and travel, and they can do the legwork. That's what's nice. And the biggest thing that we've had this year is a new baby boy. Came from South Dakota. So we've got more territory to stretch out to. And he's a charmer. I've always written letters. I've always written notes. And when my children were away to college, I wrote to them frequently. And then when my grandchildren got into school, I try to keep in touch with them. At least they know what the weather is. We can always talk about the weather. And I don't have anything great to write to them about, but it's nice to get a piece of mail in your mailbox. I guess if anybody asked me what my hobby was, I would say keeping in touch with my family and friends by writing. And I want to keep the post office open. So I'm doing my bit. I don't have really much to say, just a simple person. I really don't have any regrets. I I think I've had a pretty good all-round life. Yeah.